Hello, it's a big welcome to
It's my life. It's my life.
If variety is the spice of life, My Life brings you closer to our special guest.
A very good evening to you and a warm welcome to It's My Life. And on It's My Life, we step into the world of empathy. I'd say we'd also talk about leadership today and the power of human connection. And my guest this evening is Mimi Nicklin, an author, keynote speaker, and global advocate for empathy in leadership. She's the founder of Empathy Everywhere, host of the Mimi You Show, and also the author of several books as well. And she has trained thousands of leaders worldwide, spoken on international stages, and continues to remind us that business and life can be led with compassion, which is absolutely beautiful. And on It's My Life today, we explore her journey, her philosophy, and the choices that made her the person she is right now, the global voice of empathy. A very warm welcome to the show, Mimi.
Thank you, Sherry, so much for having me. It's a pleasure, really. I'm very excited to be here.
It's a pleasure having you on board as well, despite of your schedule.
No, it's wonderful. I'm happy we made it happen.
So you know the name of the show.
I do.
It's called It's My Life. So if you had to describe your life's philosophy in one sentence, what would it be?
Ooh, in one sentence, I would probably use, Sherry, the sentence that I often close my speeches with, which is that we are all more alike than we are different. And the reason I think that sums up everything I believe is that I think today in the world, the media like to make us believe that there's more that pulls us apart than brings us back together. And my work in empathy, in empathetic leadership and society, is to help bring people back together. So whilst my passion and my purpose is to spread empathy, the reason for that is to bring people back together and remind us that we are all more alike than we are different.
Absolutely. You built a career around empathy. And was there a defining moment in your life when you realized empathy was not just a value, but that's something you need to do?
Oh, absolutely. And Sherry, it's a long story, but the short version for your show today, in 2018, I took over a business in Dubai, and I had moved out of very global, big corporate roles to a smaller business. And when I arrived in that role, the business was actually bankrupt, but nobody had told me that before I took the job. And the honest truth was I was very overwhelmed. I had no idea how to be a small and medium entrepreneur, really. You know, I had come out of these big systems with many people around me to a business that was very, very lean, about 40 people. And in that time, I went to meet with a business consultant to get some help as to how I was possibly going to solve this challenge. And we were speaking about leadership and my own leadership style. And I remember I was describing it as intuitive, as an intuitive leader. And the consultant at the time stopped me, and she asked me a question that in the end changed my life, because she said, Mimi, is it intuition or is it empathy that you are leading with? And Sherry, I remember thinking it couldn't possibly be empathy. You know, what did empathy have to do with the business world or leadership? But it did lead me to start researching that. I discovered something called the empathy deficit, which is the lack of human connection in our world. And from that day on, I never stopped talking about it. So it really became me. So when people say, how did you find your purpose? I always say, well, I didn't, because it found me.
Interesting. And I think I can go on about how important empathy is, and you know, that's a whole different program. So now that we touched on empathy, let's also talk about your book. In your book, Empathy at Work, you talk about balancing, you know, work and then again having empathy in it, and also practicing it and making sure that you have some human connection. And with this evolving world where there's technology taking over, and then maybe we see people not speaking to each other even at home. So we see them WhatsApping,
Yes.
which is crazy. So talking about the book, how has that balance played out in your own life and leadership journey as well? How has this applied to your life?
Look, I think every day that journey continues. But of course, I get the opportunity to see inside many businesses every week as I travel the world. Obviously, this week I'm here in Colombo. The short answer, Sherry, is that there are no business metrics that do not improve when there is more empathy. So when you are able to integrate empathy, which fundamentally is perspective taking, we're not talking about being nice or kind or sympathetic or compassionate. We're talking about taking the perspective of others, listening to others. Once you are able to be a listening-led leader, which is what I'm teaching leadership teams, you are able to hear the perspectives, the opinions, the values of others. Everything improves. Relationships, engagement, negotiation, even profit, because we see 23% higher profit in businesses that have empathetic leadership teams. So the short answer is that when I see this integrated into businesses, those businesses thrive. We know that they grow and that they succeed more sustainably.
Absolutely, and I think it's about trying to understand. It's not about, once again, kindness, or it's not about, going out of the way to do something, but it's about trying to understand what the other person needs. And you often speak about listening-led leadership like you just did. So in your personal life, who are the people you've learned the most from by simply listening?
Oh, without a doubt, my daughter. She's
Wow.
7 years old, but I learn a huge amount from her, but I also learn a huge amount being a mother to her. So I think that there's two sides of that. I think children see the world as it is, and we can learn so much from that because they don't filter, they don't have bias or judgment. They see something happening and they reflect on what is happening, not what might be or why they're doing it, but just what it is. So I think they teach us a huge amount of empathy because they can see it. Children are born, we are all born with empathy. It's built into the brain. So I learn a huge amount from her and the types of questions she asks and the way she sees things. But also as a mother, she's 7, so I've had 7 years of motherhood. And in that time, I've learned a huge amount about patience, I think. About patience and presence, which in my female leadership work they're two of the skills I teach the most because I think they're totally underutilized today. The ability to be patient and the ability to be present, not just with your children, with each other, with your partners, with your mothers, with your colleagues at work. Because social media makes it look like everything happens overnight, which of course it doesn't. And I think these are really big skill sets for our time.
Absolutely. And now that we spoke about your daughter, I think you've selected the first song.
I did. I selected it for her favorite song.
So let's go ahead with it. This is Golden.
I was a ghost, I was alone. 두어진 길 속에 given the throne, I didn't know how to believe I was the queen that I'm meant to be. I lived 2 lives, tried to play both sides, but I couldn't find my own place. Caught a path-less child, 'cause I got too wild, but now that's how I'm getting paid. 끝없이 on stage, I'm done hiding, now I'm shining like I'm born to be. We dreaming hard, we came so far, now I believe. We're going up, it's our moment. You know together we're glowing, gonna be golden. Up with our voices, no one can get just so on it. Gonna be golden. Oh, I'm done hiding, now I'm shining like I'm born to be. Oh, our time, no fears, no lies, that's who we're born to be. Waited so long to break these walls down, to wake up and feel like me. Put these patterns all in the past now, and finally live like the girl they all see. No more hiding, I'll be shining like I'm born to be. 'Cause we are hunters, voices strong, and I know I believe. We're going up, it's our moment. You know together we're glowing, gonna be golden. Oh, up with our voices, no one can get just so on it. Gonna be golden. Oh, I'm done hiding, now I'm
welcome back. You're listening to It's My Life on Radio Sri Lanka, and we've been talking to Mimi. It's been a very, very interesting conversation so far, so we're gonna still continue about her journey, and we have been speaking a lot about empathy. Empathy is sometimes seen as a soft skill. So how do you respond to those who say empathy has no place in high-pressure boardrooms or even in tough personal situations?
I think, Sherry, the challenge is twofold. Number one, it's an understanding challenge. People don't know what empathy is, which is what we were talking about just before the song there, which is that this is the skill set of taking the perspective of others. There are no negotiations or difficult situations or even conflicts that aren't improved more quickly, more efficiently, more effectively when we have empathy, when we are able to listen to the other side of the table, when we are able to understand why that boardroom is responding the way that they are. So you're absolutely right that people come into all of my sessions, but in fact every working environment, thinking these are soft skills because it's been called that for 3 decades. And really my message, Sherry, is that these are hard skills. They're hard to master, they're hard to find, and as we spoke about earlier, they have hard business results. So 23% higher profit, 17% higher levels of effectiveness, 36% higher levels of output, and even 68% higher levels of innovation. So there are no business drivers that don't improve. So fundamentally, anyone that comes to me and says there's no place for this, I just say, well, perhaps we should talk about what it is, because once you understand, maybe you'll change your mind.
Interesting, and I think that's what spread awareness to the people as well. I mean, not just in Sri Lanka, but you go across continents as well, speaking about empathy and how empathy has worked as well. So you lived and worked across continents, and how has this global exposure shaped the person you are today, not just in your life, but in your career as well?
People ask me that question more and more, Sherry, and it's one that I had never reflected on really until recently. I think that when you travel the world and you live in different cultures, your intention to understand is the point of difference. You can live in a country and not have any local friends and not spend time with local people, and then you might just enjoy the country for what it offers, whether that's ambience or climate or the city that you're in.
You just go with the flow, kind of.
You go with the flow, and you fundamentally you use it for what it is. If you live in Tokyo, it's a very efficient, wonderful city. If you live in Colombo, it's full of charm and great food. It depends where you live. But for me, living around the world has always been about culture, has always been about community. I learn the language of every city I'm in to the best of my ability, which is not that great in Sinhala yet, but we're getting there. So I think it has shaped so much of who I am and why I'm able to connect with audiences, because especially when I'm with women, but not only women, but when you look at that audience and you know the reality they're coming from, not because you Googled it, but because you've lived it with them, I think that changes everything. It changes how you communicate, but it also changes how you and they feel.
And they say people change every minute.
Yes.
And you can't just stick to a specific way of life, but it keeps changing, like technology, like everything else.
Everything. The only constant is change.
Exactly. So what's been the toughest personal choice you've had to make to live a life aligned with your values?
Gosh, Sherry, the toughest choice is one I make every single week. Makes me want to cry. Is that I have to leave my daughter, right? And I say that often now to people, that I have to leave the people I love to do the work that I love. And I continue to make that choice, but it is incredibly hard. It never gets any easier at 4 a.m. when you leave your little child sleeping with their other parent and sneak out the door and pack a suitcase and shut the door silently and get in an Uber. I don't think that choice will get any easier. And in fact, the older she gets, I said earlier, she's 7 now, it gets harder, not easier. I thought that perhaps it would be easier because she understood more, but it just gets harder because she understands more.
And she needs you more.
She needs me, and she analyses everything. Sherry, sometimes she says to me, "Mummy, are they paying you well? Because if not, you should probably stay home with me."
Wow.
So the hardest choice for sure is that leaving my family to do the work that I love. But this work is who I am, and creating that integration and not a balance. I think that's important for women to hear. You can't balance. There's only a choice. You can't do half of things. So making that choice, knowing I made that choice, and finding empowerment and strength in that is really important to me.
Mimi, if you could look back and give advice to your younger self at the very start of your career about life, not just work, what would you say?
I would say believe in yourself. I struggle with it even now, Sherry. I'll tell you, last night night here in Colombo, somebody sent me a message on Instagram and they told me, "You are my favorite influencer." And I nearly fell off my chair because I can't possibly believe that I am an influencer. I sent it to my sister and I said, "What is going on?" So I think even now, self-belief and being able to sit back and recognize what you're doing is hard. I think it's hard for all women. We're not very good at it. But if I could give my younger self some advice, it would be that earlier, that if you believe in something, the chances are other people will too. So don't give up. However hard it gets, however lonely it gets, keep going.
Something like I tell myself, you've got to love yourself to make sure others start liking you.
That's true. Yes, we have to be content with who we are. I think it's really important.
Thank you, Mimi, for sharing your journey. We've got some rapid fire questions for you coming up, but before that, we're going to play one of your favorites. I think it's your dad's favorite.
This was my dad's favorite song. So we've done my daughter's and now we'll do my dad's.
Hotel California.
On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair, warm smell of colitas rising up through the air. Up ahead in the distance, I saw a shimmering light. My head grew heavy and my sight grew dim. I had to stop for the night. There she stood in the doorway. Heard the mission bell. I was thinking to myself, this could be heaven and this could be hell. Then she lit up a candle and she showed me the way. There were voices down the corridor. I thought I heard them say, "Welcome to the Hotel California." Such a lovely place, such a lovely place, such a lovely face. Plenty of room at the Hotel California. Any time of year, you can find it here. Her mind is Tiffany twisted. She got the Mercedes Benz. She got a lot of pretty, pretty boys she calls friends. How they dance in the courtyard, sweet summer sweat. Some dance to remember, some dance to forget. So I called up the captain, "Please bring me my wine." He said, "We haven't had that spirit here since 1969. And still those voices are calling from far away. Wake you up in the middle of the night just to hear them say, "Welcome to the Hotel California." Such a lovely place, such a lovely place, such a lovely face. They're living it up at the Hotel California. What a nice surprise, what a nice surprise. When your alibis, mirrors on the ceiling, they pink champagne on ice. And she said, "We are all just prisoners here of our own device. And in the master's chambers, they're gathered for the feast. They stab it with their steely knives, but they just can't kill the beast." Last thing I remember, I was running for the door. I had to find the passage back to the place I was before.
Welcome back. You're listening to It's My Life, and we are going to move on to the rapid fire round. Expecting one word answers from you, Mimi.
I'm ready.
Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
One word your friends would use to describe you.
Empathetic.
A song that best describes your life right now.
Happy.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
I think I can see coffee there.
I am drinking coffee, but I would say tea. I would say tea.
A book that changed your perspective.
1,000 Splendid Suns.
A place you call home no matter where you are in the world.
Colombo.
Wow. One bad habit you're still working on.
Not going to the gym, and I know that's more than one word.
If you weren't doing what you're doing today, what career would you be in?
I think I would be a full-time mum with like 10 children.
Who inspires you the most outside your industry?
My partner.
Complete the sentence. It's my life and I choose to
Live it as I please.
Thank you very much, Mimi, for being a part of the show. It was lovely having you on board.
Thank you very much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure.
Enjoy the rest of your stay here in Colombo.
I will. Thank you.
And with that, we conclude It's My Life. It's My Life is produced by Tanuja Subasinghe, and I'm Sharifa Tahir. I'll catch you next week with another amazing personality.
Time to go, but we meet next week on the same day at the same time on the same service. Catch you next week.
It's my